Hey guys, it's Fiona from Even Tired Reads and welcome to a bit of a end of May and most of June wrap up. So I've actually done a bit of reading and thought I would condense it all down into one video minus a couple of things I am going to review. So I will mention those and put links on the screen or in the doobly-doo. I will also be doing a video purely for my manga and graphic novel recently read, whatever. So look out for that very soon. So let's start with Release by Patrick Ness. This was Patrick Ness's highly anticipated new novel, which came out in May? Yes, came out in May. We did an event with him. It was very successful. He's absolutely lovely. I unfortunately didn't love the book as much as I was hoping I would. I rated it 3.5. Obviously I rated it like 4 stars on Goodreads, but my actual rating is closer to a 3.5. I really enjoyed Adam's point of view in this book, and I thought had it just been Adam and not this weird supernatural aspect to it, I probably would have loved the book a whole lot more, because Adam is a fantastic character. He is hiding so much from himself and the world because of what kind of family he lives in and how painful it is to be Adam. But he trucks on, and this all takes place in one day, and it is probably the worst day of Adam's life, and it all goes wrong. If it had just been Adam and not this weird queen supernatural thing going on in the background that I don't really understand, I probably would have given this a 4 or 4.5, but it was just intermittent with these bits about this queen who needed to get back to somewhere so the world didn't end. I honestly didn't get it. And I feel really bad that I didn't get it, but it just completely went over my head. I don't know if that is a reference to Mrs. Dalloway, which this book heavily references. The first line and the last line are both from Mrs. Dalloway, and then Patrick Ness is kind of filled in the middle. But it's a very personal book to Patrick Ness, and you can kind of tell that in the writing. It's so passionate and so emotive, and like I said, had it just been about Adam, I would have absolutely adored it. The next book I read was actually for book club last month, so our May meeting, and that is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This is Becky's second book, the first book being Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I totally knew that. I actually enjoyed this book a bit more than Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. There was a bit more heart to it, a bit more honesty to it. The characters are what they are. There is no, oh my gosh, I'm gay. They just are. And it's just so natural and so lovely and so wonderful. And it is a great empowering story about being yourself and being true to who you are. And it was just really, really enjoyable. I read it in like 2 sittings, which for me is very unusual. I flew through it. It's a perfect summer, easy read, just gets you going, and is a lot of fun and very emotive, as most YAs are, good ones anyway. So I highly recommend this, and definitely you should pick it up. I rated this one 4 stars on Goodreads. It was good, yo. The next 2 books I read were Geek Rella by Ashley Poston and When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. So the only reason I know how to say her name is because we talked about these books in our new podcast. So Kimmy, who I always link in the doobly-doo, and I have started a brand new bookish podcast. There will have been a little video you might have seen. If not, I will put some links in the downstairs where there are full reviews of these 2 books. And we rave about them and we love them. This is a 5-star read, one of my favourite reads of the year. This is a 4.5, a very close behind. But if you want full reviews of these amazing books, they are great for summer, by the way. Like, totally pick these up. They're fantastic. Then check out our podcast, which is A Tale of Two Booksellers, and you can find out all the deets about these books and what we thought. The Robie Project by Graham Simpson. Again, I talked very briefly about this on our podcast, and I will constantly drop hints about our podcast because I'm in love with our podcast. It's been so much fun to create. So I'm going to talk very, very briefly about the Robie Project because there will be a full review for this linked downstairs. This is a very, very different, very interesting, very absorbing and gripping story, and more so than I loved it, but I was obsessed with it. I was brushing my teeth and I was still reading this book. Like, that's how good it was. I just didn't put it down at any point. I was reading during my breaks at work, which is also unusual for me, and it was just phenomenal, and it was exactly what I needed. It is a great summer read. It is just so perfect, so different, without being over the top and unbelievable. It was completely believable, and again, there is a full review linked somewhere, either on here, down there. There will be a link to a review, and I'll review this in full because I loved it. The next book I read was some non-fiction. I know, a bit of variation this month, isn't that great? Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. This is Matt Haig's non-fiction about his journey with depression and anxiety and everything in between. And it was a really, really fast-paced, interesting book. It's broken into tiny little chunks, some of them no bigger than a paragraph, and I flew through it. It was just so interesting to read about someone else's experience and kind of reflect on my own at the same time that yes, I probably did have depression at university. It's very, very likely that that was the case, alongside many, many people who don't know the signs. If it happened now, I would know the signs and I would be able to figure out what the problem was. But these days I've realised I mostly just suffer from anxiety as well as sadness and loneliness. I'm a very, very clingy person. That's just how I am. So it was very interesting to actually review those aspects of myself and of Matt Haig. And I think this is a fascinating book, whether you have or haven't suffered from depression, anxiety, any kind of OCD or disorder or anything. It's definitely worth a read. It also talks about how these illnesses are invisible, and I also suffer from trichotillomania, which is again an invisible illness if you don't have it to the extremes of having lots of hair loss. So it was fascinating to read and really, really interesting, and I loved it. I really did. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it is definitely worth picking up. Like I said, super easy to read. So that's my kind of a wrap up of things I've read recently. Like I said at the beginning, there will be a video about all the manga and graphic novels I've read recently, which isn't a huge amount, but if I put them in this video as well, this video would get really long and I wouldn't have any content for a Monday. So I thought I would do them in 2 separate videos so I have more time to talk about them. What have you guys been reading recently? Has there been anything amazing that I have missed, which I usually have? Please let me know in the comments. I've usually had something completely pass me by. Let's start a conversation in the comments, yo! Yeah! And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!